2021. We need an extension because we are in 2022. We need confirmation of any process that was followed to extend from the 6th of Feb 2021 to date.
That is the report that a group head, that's the extension of time that group head flighted. Okay.
Can we have it flighted again?
Okay. Whilst group head is flighting, maybe let me explain again, Member Mpefu. From the 5th of February.
I don't want to, Smakalang, I don't want you to explain, because the BAC can scrutinize this and render this particular contract not valid. Can you just give us what we want? We want an extension of contract from this date, the 5th of Feb. That's all that we need. Because if we were to explain, we'll start scrutinizing and you'll be in trouble.
Group head, can you please flight EOT4? Because that's the one that takes the project from February to March 2022.
Yes.
And then from March to, yes. Is it EOT?
Okay, this is what I have as EOT4 from what you've sent, Smakaling.
EOT3.
And this is the approval that is keeping the contract valid as we speak. And I think Member Mpefu's concern is the gap between 5th of February and 4th of March.
Correct.
I'm looking for it. Oh, I've got it. I'm sending it now.
Smakaling, do you need to go to TLMA to know how to flight?
Group head, can we get via email? We do have a report that says the BAC resolved to extend by 6 months to September 2020. Can we then get formal documentation via email that takes us from 2020 October till to date, so that as we then go forward, because we understand that we're trying to correct the process, as we recommend, we will then make sure from to date the contract is extended with the required period. All that we need is confirmation that from 2020 September, the contract remained valid up until today. We will understand if maybe the department did not extend from September when it was approved by council and taken straight to the accounting officer. Maybe we can look at that period, because you might not necessarily have an extension. But can we have an extension from September 2020 that takes you right to the date at which this particular section 116 was recommended or approved at council? I think that will help us to make sure that we resolve correctly.
I hear you perfectly, Member. We will submit sequentially and annex them accordingly, and we'll advise Secretariat once we've sent through.
Thank you, sis.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Portia, next item, Chairperson, over to you.
Thank you. Our next item, so we'll resolve once we've got all the documentation on this one, so that we are able to resolve on it correctly.
Yes, Chair.
Info.
Thank you, Chair. Apologies, just to come back again, and SCM Chair to amend their comments, Chair, and they're speaking to the fact that there is no procurement while there's cooperation process. Can they also, when the department brings back the information, also bring an amended comments, Chair, because it is a procurement process, because the work is being varied to the value of about 235 from 160. So can Justice facilitate that as well? We get amended comments. Thank you, Chair.
So we must then refer it back. There's a lot that must be done.
No, Chair. The ACM must just submit comments that are signed, dated today, together with the PEC that's going to be submitted by the department, outlining the sequence of all these extensions for us to confirm that the contract is still valid and the comments are relevant, because we are talking about additional procurement process. Thank you, Chair.
All right, so we'll assess as and when it's ready. So to stay in abeyance at the moment. Thank you. Portia, our next item.
Chairperson, our next item is from Water and Sanitation, item 2.7. It reads HHS 01 2018-2017, appointment of 3 construction, healthy and safety agencies for the replacement of worn out water network pipelines span a wide area A, B, and C, a period of 36 months. Chairperson, thank you. The item is tabled.
They're taking us through.
Chair, thank you very much and good morning. Maybe to first start with a declaration. My name is Stevens Notowani. I am the group head for the Water and Sanitation Department. I declare that I do not have any personal interest on all the items under consideration for the Water and Sanitation Department. Chair, I'm with my team. I'm going to ask them that they declare, and then my director, Refilwe, will take us through the report, and we are here to support her. Thank you, Chair.
Good afternoon, Chair. My name is Dumsana Kubuza. I'm the Divisional Head for Water and Sanitation Infrastructure Planning and Implementation. I declare that I do not have any interest in the matters that are to serve at the BAC this morning. And the appropriate documentation has been submitted. Thank you, Chair.
Good morning, Chairperson. My name is Refilwe Juta from Water and Sanitation Department. I declare that I do not have interest on the items that are serving today. Thank you.
Chair, if it's okay, I will take the BAC through the report.
Proceed, Justice.
Okay, Chair, this is a further report on page 11. I'm on the word report. Just to quickly go through it. During the BAC meeting of the 18th Feb 2022, the committee agreed to the recommendation with an amendment that the city manager enter into price negotiations with the service providers for area B and C. And the ACM then delegated DHSCM to facilitate negotiations. And thereafter, a committee, including ACM and the department, was established to process the negotiations. We then met as a team, prepared for this. And when we met with the service providers, we then agreed that the recommendation for Area A, where the bidder had offered a 70% discounted rate, be put up as a basis for negotiations to the other bidders. And when we checked, actually, we discovered that the two bidders had previously offered 30% and 35% discounts respectively. We then said that in interacting with these proposals, the bidders must then note that the city will not accept any quality compromise in terms of service that will be offered. That is to say, whatever offers they put up or agree to should still consider the fact that they will need to provide a quality service. The two bidders, which was MPP Consortium and Murula Consulting, then interacted in the discussions that we had, and ultimately came to their final offers. And their final offers, for example, for MPP, it was a 48% discount, and Murula said they could only come up to 40% discount. And each of these bidders had their reasons. If I recall, one was indicating things like they have internal capacity. The other one said they will still have to outsource, so they were taking into consideration some of their situations. A further review, we identified that they were different in terms of numbers on their time-based fees. And then we decided to average those and offered a cap on the time-based fees. And as a result, MPP had to agreed to reduce their time-based fees to a maximum of 198, while Murula had to adjust their disbursements costs to a maximum of 56,871, which came as a result of the averaging on the disbursement fees that were offered by the two bidders. In addition, we had noted that the bidder that was on Area A had not actually quoted for disbursements, and we agreed as a committee that we needed to get confirmation from this bidder that they will not at any stage during the service that comes later on request or bill for disbursements. And they responded in writing to say that their offer is indeed without any cost for disbursements. And hence there was no recommendation to amend their original recommendation. The most important thing is we noted that the previous recommendation that was put before the BAC might not necessarily have been proper, because what is happening here is this is a framework appointment for 3 years. I've just put up the report on the screen so that I can assist to show the committee what is happening here. So what the department had done is it had identified, or their pricing schedule had included a rate for different cost brackets of projects. So depending on the cost brackets, you would have a cost bracket for 1, 2, 3, and 4. So this is in fact a rate appointment for these bidders, and that is why the recommendation is being amended so that the appointment is per rate, because depending on the cost of the project, it will fall in either of these brackets and the times, the period over which that project will be taken. But I'm sure the department can clarify that further. So we're basically just representing the recommendations for Area A, which was SNAP, and this should be their appointed rates. As you can see, there is no cost provided for disbursements, and for Morula, this is their cost, and then MPP, then that is their cost. As I was saying, the time-based fees have been amended to 198. The Morula was this one was to amend their disbursements to the average rate that was offered to them. So in summary, that is it, Chair. But colleagues from the department can just add some of the issues that maybe we did not speak to. Thank you.
Thank you. Inputs from the department?
Thank you, Chair. I think the report was well presented, Chair. I think we'll be guided by any areas of clarity from the BAC in terms of inputs. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks. So just as confirmed, so your rates on the pricing schedule, what is the unit of measure?
Colleagues, please assist.
Chair, on the unit of the rates are according to there's a standard calculation that goes with these rates, and that takes then the percentage discount into consideration. So
because what I'm asking is, when we implement, if we recommend, for example, area A, how would we apply that 105? Is it at a project level in total for the project? Or because that part is not clear for me.
Yes. Chair, we will then, because these figures are way for evaluation purposes, to say for a project of, let's say, 10 million, this is what then it would be, but it is based on there's a specific formula that is in place that will say if the value is so much, then this is what we will be able to pay for that particular project, for that particular invoice. It's linked to the construction value of the project. The disbursements, they are further broken down in the bill of quantities, and the disbursements will be there further broken down in the tendered bill.
So shouldn't we then recommend in terms of the updated bill of quantities as would have been negotiated?
These final fees, are based on the percentages that have now been amended based on what the bidders said they will be able to accommodate. But I hear you, Chair, and I think now it goes further now to the point, to the individual fees in the BOQ at the point of actually making a payment. Because the figures here are broad figures for making the appointment for evaluation purposes. But I think we need to be clear, especially because we are not talking about one contract that is at cost bracket 1 and only one at cost bracket 2. But it might be different projects with different values. That might not necessarily be a round figure of 10 million or 40 million, for example. So I think that point is taken, Chair.
Yeah, so this report is actually not ready for BAC.
Chair, we can resubmit that back within the next 30 minutes.
Yeah, because my worry now, even if we recommend in terms of the BOQ, I don't have comfort and assurity that the BOQ that will eventually be attached will be the final one. as per the negotiation, that will link back to these total numbers. So we need to have that sorted out.
That we can quickly put together, Chair, and I think later in today still be able to present that detailed breakdown.
Members, inputs? That the department can just attend to while correcting this. From Pefu. Osminki.
Covered, Chair, from your thorough explanation, we'll just have to wait for the department to put through together all the details that you have just entailed. Thanks, Chair.
Thanks, Chair. I know we only contacted the top 3 because they are related to the areas that we are awarding for. I just wanted confirmation that the service providers had actually agreed to the areas that were specified, or did the department allocate them?
Thanks, Member Mpiff.
Chair, can you hear me, Chair?
Now I can hear you.
Chair, mine is simple. 2 questions or maybe corrections that need to be made. On the summary of the pricing schedule for Area A, can we just make sure that the contingencies are at 10% in all the areas? The figures there, especially in Area A and the last one, they do not talk to the 10%. And Chair, just a confirmation to be put in writing that the panel used is the correct one. Maybe it's just a matter of English, Chair, because HHS talks to occupational health and safety agents, and they want the construction health and safety agents. Just that confirmation that we are talking about the same thing, Chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And just correct pricing on Area C. The discount, I think there's an extra 0 that was added there. It says 2.16 million. I'm sure it should be 216,000. So colleagues, you'll come back with those responses.
Noted, Chair, we will do so. Thank you.
Thanks. Push our next item, please.
Chairperson, our next item is from item 5.1. It's from Economic Development, and it reads ED 10 2021-2022. It's a cancellation report. Tender for the supply, installation, and maintenance of new outdoor advertising litter bins, the refurbishment and relocation of existing outdoor advertising litter bins, and the administration of all outdoor advertising litter bins. Thank you, Chairperson. The item is tabled.
Just before we go to that item, Ranotwani. Your hand is up.
Yes, Chair. I forgot to mute. My sincere apologies. Chair, there are other reports from Water and Sanitation Agent, particularly the one for Mamelodi Extension 11 extension of time, which is expiring on Saturday. I was informed that the report was submitted on time, but I'm informed that it was erroneously omitted from the agenda, and I'm made to understand that the report would have been included through Secretary. Chair, if we can please have the report table. The contract is expiring on the 25th of Saturday, extension of time. Please, Chair.
Portia?
Chair,
Do you have that?
Chairperson, yes, I do have. It's item 2.1, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Norton. Group head Norton.
Uchabile.
I just want them to confirm if it's 2.1 so I can read it out loud, Chairperson.
No, it's not that one.
Okay.
It's not on the agenda.
Chair, it's not. I'm now on Jimson's gadget. It's not 2.1. It is the Mamelodi Extension 11 report, Sister Posh, through you, Chair. That was submitted, and then we were told. In fact, it was on last week's agenda. Unfortunately, last week there was no BAC, but then we were informed it will be on this week's agenda.
Okay. Can you edit Portia? We'll do it towards the end of the agenda items.
Okay.
Dr. Chairperson, if the department would kindly send me the report quickly.
We will send again. They've coded it, Chair. We will resend it.
Thank you. Does this explain why 5.1 is urgent?
Chair, the department has requested, because they wanted to process this and immediately re-advertise. The BEC chair is also in the meeting, also made the request. Service desperation.
Chair, please, can we just discuss this item, please, Chair?
You know, there are other more pressing matters that requires consideration.
But Chair, these are revenue generating tenders which can generate revenue quickly for the city.
All right, let's proceed.
Thank you, Chair. I'm filling in for, I've got my delegation for, I'm acting for Peter Swanepoel as Group Head for Economic Development and Spatial Planning on items 5.1 and 5.4, and it will be taken through to the committee by Rahaba. Thank you, Chair.
Just your name, please.
Sorry, Chair, it's Clyde Peterson from Outdoor Advertising Management.
Thank you. Rahaba?
Thanks, Chair, and good morning, Chairperson and committee members together with Secretariat. My name is Rahaba Ramakhupa, and I declare that I don't have any personal interest in the matter that I'll be presenting this morning and even this afternoon. The item that I'm presenting now is ED 10 of 2021. Of 2021-2022, I'm presenting it as a cancellation, and it's a tender for the supply, installation, and maintenance of new outdoor advertising litter bins and refurbishment and relocation of existing outdoor advertising litter bins and the administration of all outdoor advertising litter bins. And this contract duration of this, it was advertised as a 5-year for a 5-year period, and I'm presenting it for the first time before this committee, which is the Bid Adjudication Committee. If you go to page 2, it shows that the specification was approved on the 16th of August 2021, and the bid was advertised on the 13th of the 10th of 2021, and there was no briefing session for this tender. And this bid closed on the 8th of November 2021. The responsible from the department is Slade Peterson, and from our side is Magda Divorce. And those are the name of the committee members as appointed by the acting accounting officer. And we received 9 responses from the public, and the tender was extended twice and is still valid, and because it's going to expire on the 2nd of August of 2022. Members, I just want to take you to page to page 6, the bottom of page 6. How did we evaluate this this tender? On the bottom of page 6, it says that the stages of evaluation on point 5. It says the bid will be evaluated as in 4 stages, which is administrative compliance, mandatory requirement, functional criteria, and the last one is the preference point system. And on the functionality, we're looking for a minimum point of 70 points. And members, then I'd like the members maybe to go to a page because the other pages is the scope of work. Then I'd like the members to go to page. Let me see which page is that. On page 15 of the report, as I've indicated, I said we received 9 responses from the public, and those are the bid numbers together with the bidder's name that responded to this bid. And there was a pre-compliance which was done on this report. Remember, on the pre-compliance, the automatic disqualification is that if ever the bidder is not registered on the CST, or is there any restricted supplier or state employee, that it will result into an automatic disqualification. But on the pre-compliance, none of the bidders they were disqualified, meaning that they were able to continue to the first stage, of which the first stage is the administrative compliance. On the administrative compliance, we're checking MBD4, MBD8, and MBD9. But on MBD4 and MBD8 and MBD9, the time we're checking that, then we found that there were 7 bidders that they didn't declare that they are having interest in other companies on MBD4 3.14, and as a result, these 7 bidders they were disqualified based on that. And thereafter, we are left only with 2 bidders that went to the second stage, which is the mandatory requirement. On the mandatory requirement, yes, so we said as a committee, then we evaluated bidder number 7 and bidder number 8, and unfortunately, upon us doing the evaluation, we found that none of the 2 bidders they met the full minimum. They met the full mandatory requirement, and as a result, this bidder became non-responsive, and that's the reason that we are recommending a cancellation to this committee. Thank you.
Thank you. Members, your comments on this item? Mpefu?
I'm covered, Chair. I'm fine. Thank you.
Thanks, Farisha.
Thanks, Chair. Is there anything that needs to be amended in terms of the spec if it's cancelled and we need to go out for why the tender was so non-responsive?
Yes, Minky.
Chair, nothing from my side, just to ask if ever the non-compliance or the cancellation is not going to affect any service delivery that relates to the particular service that needs to be provided, Chair. Thanks.
Thanks, Rahaba.
Thank you, Chair. And in terms of what Member Verosha just raised, saying that is there anything that we can do as with regard to the non-compliance of other bidders? I said that if ever the department go out on public, is that they must make sure that there's a briefing session, that they must call for a briefing session so that the bidders must be aware that they must be how to fill the MBD4, because as you can see, MBD, 7 bidders out of 7, they were disqualified because they failed to declare on MBD 4 3.14, because some of the bidders, they think that if ever you declare, it will lead into a disqualification, of which it is not a disqualification, but you have to declare. But I'm requesting the department that whenever they're going back on tender, that they're going back on advert, they must make sure that there's a briefing session, and they must also involve supply chain, so that the supply chain can just come and explain the process of the MBD4. How does it work? And thank you.
Thank you. From a service delivery point of view, department.
Thank you, Chair. This is a revenue generating tender, so it's more to generate income for the municipality. The sooner we go back on tender and deal with this tender and adjudicate it, the better it will be for the city in terms of generating revenue from it. Also, in addition to that, the infrastructure will also be granted to the municipality at no cost to the municipality. So there's the benefit of getting the revenue and also getting the litigants at no cost to the municipality. Thank you.
Thank you. So colleagues, let's recommend for cancellation with an amendment that there be a compulsory briefing session or a briefing session, and that supply chain, as we've previously indicated, just take through the members, or not members, potential bidders through the requirements as required in MBD4. Amended, colleagues.
Yes, Chair, it was amended.
Thank you, Moni. Portia 5.2.
Chair. Sorry, Chair.
Yeah.
It was going to be 5.1 and 5.2, 5.4 together. It's the same principle.
Chairperson, item 5.2, it is also from economic development. It reads ED 2020, ED 21, 2018, 2019, request for extension of contract period and contract value. The tender to appoint a service provider for support, capturing, training, and maintenance of a capital planning, capital investment, capital budgeting, capital prioritization, and capital performance monitoring system for the city of Tshwane. Chairperson, the item is tabled.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. My name is Dennis Madumo. Let me declare that I do not have any vested interest on the tender that has just been introduced. Also indicate that I'm acting for the acting group head, Peter Swanepoel. He has sent a letter to Portia. Chairperson, let me also maybe rectify on page 1, we're saying that the contract duration is 3 years. It should not say 3 years, it should say 1 year. So that have to be rectified. Chairperson, in terms of the background, we were here in April with a report for section 116. After the discussion of that documents, there were 3 recommendations that were made where there was a suggestion that we should maybe consider an open tender or consider a extension of the contract whilst we are obviously going out on open tender. And then the last recommendation was then that we also have to look at the consulting with the supply chain in order to assist us to make sure that when we come back to this committee, we bring in the correct report. The last one, Chairperson, we did consult with supply chain. In the meeting, there were 2 recommendations indeed that it is advisable to go out on the open tender, and at the same time applies Section 62. So the report that is in front of you is Section 62. Let me indicate that we have not submitted the documents for the open tender. The reason being that currently we do not have enough budget to go out on open tender. The current budget that we have, which is just over 7 million, can only cater for the extension whilst we are still trying to find money to go out on public tender. And once that has been secured, Chair, we will definitely go out on public tender. The system, Chairperson, that we are referring to is known as the Capital Planning System, which is a system for the planning, budgeting, reporting, and the monitoring of capital project. In terms of the current contract, the contract is coming to an end, Chairperson, on the 4th of July 2022. Hence, we have indicated that this is very urgent. And from where we are sitting, Chair, we are of the view that it will be very difficult to live without the capital planning system. So we are requesting that the tender be extended for a year. We have received Chairperson's comments, and then in some instances we did not receive any comment. Let me just indicate the comments received. I'll start with 5.1, comments received from Supply Chain Management Chair. It's a negative comment, even though we were advised by supply chain that that's the process that we need to follow. I know there's been some attempt to get supply chain to relook at the comments, but till today, Chairperson, we have not received the amended comments. The second comments, Chair, is obviously from Finance 5.2, which is in support of the report, and they've indicated that indeed there is money under cost center 7917 for 7.2 million. So what we are asking for, Chairperson, is for 15% of the current contract. The current contract is just over 20 million. So what we are asking for is that about 2.6, which will be the 15%. In terms of the other comments, we also received comments from ICT. ICT are in support of the proposal of the Section 62. They've also indicated that they will also be working with us to ensure that through the SEP system, we can see if in future we cannot migrate the CAP system into SEP system, Chairperson. Let me also indicate that after several attempts to get comments from legal services, where they indicated that they will provide comments last week Friday, follow-ups have been made. Till today, we still do not have those comments. So, Chairperson, what we've attached to the report is the appointment letter, previous appointment letter, SLA to novice, and we've got 4 recommendations, Chairperson. The recommendation 1 is to extend the contract with maximum of 1 year as indicated. We also indicating that the contract value will be that 2.6 million, and indicating where that 6.2 million will be paid from the cost center number 7917, and that the group head economic development and the special planning be authorized to deal with the any expenditure that is incurred during the contract for that 1 year. The report is tabled, Chairperson.
Dennis, my challenge is that your report is incomplete.
Chair, when you say incomplete, you're referring to?
Legal comment.
Yeah, Chairperson, I can show you trails of email interventions from everyone that legal should comment. They committed, Chairperson, in writing to provide comments. And as I indicated, I can wait for another month or 2, and the contract is, as indicated, lapsing, Chairperson. So I understand what you are saying, but I think there is a process in the city to request comments simultaneously from the departments, and if they are not commenting, how do we then deal with that?
Ask Minky.
Yes, Chair, I'm here.
Go to 2 Simo.
The presenter, where did you send the request to comments? Did this come to my office attention? Can I get that full report, Chair, so that I can see who was supposed to bring that to, to provide those comments?
The trails of emails.
Sorry?
The trails of emails indicate the lady that committed to provide comments was Melissa, and by last week Friday, and we have been making follow-up. So that's the person that also provided comments on the previous report 116, which the comments were positive. So we thought that we will receive, they will then rehash the same comments and provide, but that was not done. So I am Chairperson, I can forward to Sis Minky the correspondence on this matter.
Thanks, Chair. You see, the person that they are talking to is an admin officer who does not even provide comments. May I please request that if ever there are any comments that are outstanding, please notify myself via email or SMS, just like any other departments are doing, so that we can be able to provide such. Just to alert you, colleagues, that I have 3 legal advisors who have been hospitalized, so sometimes you will find that these comments get late, but if I'm aware of them, definitely some of the times I do them myself. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you. Members, the report will wait for legal comments. Do you want to ask any clarifying questions with the department?
Chair, my only concern is the SCM comments. Chair, in exceptional cases, Circular 62 is an allowed process. I'm not sure whether the presenter was stated the fact that they do not have budget for the new tender. Obviously, they have limited resources, and hence going out on a Circular 62 process and also not deviating for a period of a maximum of 1 year. And I do not see why now the supply chain are not supporting this, and they're not stating the reasons for not supporting this particular extension, Chair. And I think the report also, Chair, must be updated, because it talks to 30th June as the next as the date at which this contract is expiring. But if you go down, it talks to the 4th of July, and the presenter also spoke to the 4th of July. So can we make those corrections and also refer back to SCM so that they can give us reasons why this particular report is not supported? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Asminki, your questions on the substance presented?
Nothing from my side, Chair. May I just be given the report so that I can be able to assist as in urgently, Chair?
Thank you. Varusha?
Thanks, Chair. I'll wait for the comments before I comment.
Okay. So let's refer it back to deal with the comments of legal and SCM. The group head has committed to resolving that quite urgently. And just a correction on the expiry date of the tender. Dennis?
Chairperson will rectify the expiry date. The correct date obviously is the 5th of July 2022. Chairperson, obviously we have requested the intervention. Remember, we're dealing with colleagues that provide comments on this, and I'm referring specifically to supply chain. And maybe if I can be told similar to legal, where I need to send that, because the divisional head has referred the same to the colleagues and they've not responded today. So I might come again here in the next meeting and I'm still sitting with the same problem. Is there a specific person that I must refer this matter to for them to really look at these comments? Because those that have commented on this report are not responsive.
Assist, please.
Chair, those are administrative issues. Normally what we do, we send the request through to the
For DHSCM, I think when you are covered.
Okay.
DHSCM. Otherwise, speak directly to DHSCM.
Chairperson, I note that Peter have done that. The response from the divisional head to the respective official was that they must indicate the reasons why they are not supporting. Till to date, I'm sitting here, they've not responded. And I have to go back to the very same person that is not even responding to your divisional head and resolve that matter. And that's the frustration that I'm referring to, Chair. Legal, I understand. I will refer it to Sis Minky for their intervention. But I'm just saying that if the very same person is not responding to a divisional head who's sitting in a meeting, I must go back to the same guys. I will be coming again here with a negative comment and I will be referred back. And I require the intervention.
Okay, go to Justice.
If that's the case, I'll do so.
Thank you. He's sitting in his office.
All right, I'll do so. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Our next item, colleagues.
Chairperson, the next item is item 5.4, if I'm correct. I'm told by the department that 5.2 and 5.4 must be read together. ED 08-2021-2022, it's a cancellation report. Tender for the supply, installation, and maintenance of outdoor advertising suburban name signs and discarding of existing outdoor advertising suburban name design for a period of 5 years. Chairperson, the item is tabled.
Who's taking us through?
Chair, thank you. Clyde Peters again on behalf of Economic Development and Spatial Planning. Peter Swanepoel, and it will be tabled by Rahaba. Thank you.
Rahaba.
Thanks, Chair. Thanks once again. The item that I'm presenting now is ED 08 of 2021-2022. Is from the Economic Development and Spatial Planning and it's a built environment and enforcement. I'm presenting it for the first time as a cancellation, and it's a tender for the supply, installation, and maintenance of new outdoor advertising suburban name, signs, and discarding of existing outdoor advertising suburban name signs for a period of 5 years. And as I've indicated, I said I'm presenting this item for the first time before this committee. Members, if you go to second page, it shows that the specification was approved on the 26th of July 2021, and the bid was advertised on the 30th of July 2021, and it closed. The original closing date, it was on the 21st of October 2021, but it was later extended to the 8th of November 2021. And there was no briefing session for this tender, and the official from the department is Clyde Peterson, and the official from our side is Mapaseka Makubela, and those are the bid evaluation committee members as appointed by the acting accounting officer. And we received 9 response from the public, and this bid, it was extended twice, and it will expire on the 5th of August 2022. Members, I just want to take you how did we evaluate this tender. I would like the members to go to page 7 of this report. On page 7 of this report, on point 5, it says that the stages of evaluation, it says administrative compliance, mandatory requirement, functional criteria, and the last stage, which is stage 4, is a preferential point system. And on the functionality, we're looking for a minimum threshold of 70. And members, as I've indicated, I said, yeah, I want the members to go to page 15 of the report. On page 15 of the report, it shows all the 9 bidders that responded to this bid together with their bidder number. And thereafter, then there was a pre-compliance which was done on this report. Usually, as I've indicated before, we're checking as to whether the bidders registered on the CST and as to whether they are not restricted supplier or state employee. And upon us checking on that, none of them they were disqualified, meaning that all of them they qualified to go to the first stage, which is the administrative compliance. On the administrative compliance, then we usually doing MBD4, MBD8, and MBD9. I think on this one, yes, there were 7 bidders from bidder number 1 until bidder number 7. They didn't declare on MBD 4 3.14 saying that they're involved in other companies. Then as a result, that this bidder they were disqualified for further evaluation, and we're left with it only 2 bidders, which is bidder number 8 and bidder number 9. And those 2 bidders are the ones that went through to the next stage, which is the mandatory requirement. And upon us doing the mandatory requirement, we found that bidder number 8, they met all the mandatory requirement as a result, and bidder number 9, they didn't attach anything on the mandatory requirement, and as a result, this bidder number 9 will be disqualified for further evaluation, meaning that the one that passed mandatory requirement, it was only bidder number 8, which is Latita Media Pty Limited. And as I've indicated, I said the third stage, it was the functionality criteria of which we're looking for a minimum threshold of 70. Then we said as a committee, then we evaluated this bidder number 8. But unfortunately, upon us doing the functionality criteria on this bidder number 8, we found that bidder number 8, he scored below the minimum threshold of 70. Then as a result, this bidder was disqualified also, meaning that this tender is non-responsive. That's the reason that we are requesting a cancellation. The bid is presented before this committee for further deliberation. Thank you.
Thank you, Rahaba. Members, your comments? Mpefu?
Chair, I'm fine. No comment.
Arusha?
Thanks, Chair. Chair, I have a few comments. The first one is I want to understand how the tender is going out for a 5-year period and not the traditional 3-year period. Also, in terms of the cost implications, it's a income generating tender, but there's no indication of what the baseline amounts would have been or what an average market related income would have been to guide the tender document at all. So, Chair, if I can please have some clarity on those aspects. Thanks.
Thank you, Asinti.
Nothing from my side, Chair.
Thank you. Rahaba?
Thanks, Chair. I think on the issue of what the member Beresha just raised, I think the department will be in a better position just to answer that as to why the tender, their tender, they're going on a 5-year period, not a 3-year period. Thank you.
Thanks, Chair. We've had an in-depth discussion with legal services about these outdoor advertising tenders, and they have given us a legal opinion in terms of what is permissible in terms of the validity or the period that we can go out for the awarding of these outdoor advertising tenders. And in accordance with the legal opinion that we've received, we are allowed to take these things out for a tender for a period of longer than 3 years because there's no financial obligation on the municipality. In fact, the municipalities generating revenue and getting the infrastructure at low cost for its use. Also, the matter of the outdoor advertising bylaws that also speak to the period of how long outdoor advertising validity of the period is permissible. Thank you.
Thank you. Varisha, covered?
Yes, Chair, and then just if there's a baseline indication of the anticipated revenue, so when you do go out and tender, that you can tell that you're receiving some sort of a market-related income.
Clyde?
Thanks, Chair. We did do an analysis of the potential income that the city could generate from the awarding of these advertising sites, and we benchmarked with other cities to get an idea. Also, the city did have a previous tender, so we also had that type of knowledge in terms of what type of revenue we could expect to get per structure for the income that could be derived from these advertising sites. Thank you.
Chair, perhaps while we're on that item, the reason I'm asking about the baseline is if you do have a situation where there's only one service provider that is recommended and the price is not market related, it's easier to set a proper guideline in terms of the upset value that you're actually looking at, just to guide the bidders in terms of the revenue. But other than that, I have no issue with the recommendation to cancel the tender at present. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you. So let's adopt the recommendation then from the BEC to cancel the tender. Members? Members, are we fine? Are not audible?
Yes, Chair.
Yes, Chair.
So let's move.
Chairperson, we will move to item 5.6. It's going to be corrected. It reads ED 04 2021-2022 tender for the appointment of a professional service provider for an airborne survey to acquire accurate digital aerial imagery LiDAR survey that includes digital terrain model, digital elevation model, and contours data, georeferenced ortho images, and survey control points, ground and airborne for the city of Tshwane, 3-year period as and when required. Thank you, Chairperson. The item is tabled.
Who's taking us through?
It's me, Chairperson Rahaba.
Continue, Rahaba.
Thank you, Chair. The item that I'm presenting is ED 04 of 2021-2022, also from the Economic Development Department. I won't repeat the description because it's too long. The duration of this contract is for 3 years, and I'm presenting for the first time before this committee, which is the Bid Adjudication Committee. I'd like the members to go to page 2 of the report. It says the specification was approved on the 6th of September 2021. The bid was advertised on the 27th of of October 2021. There was no briefing session, and the bid closed on the 21st of the second month of 2022. And the official responsible is Mutuliseni Mchali, and from our side is Jim Kumali, and those are the name of the bid evaluation committee members as appointed by the acting accounting officer. And the bid it will expire on the 22nd of August 2022, meaning that the bid is still valid. Members, I just want to take you to page 15 of the report to see how did we evaluate this report. And on page 15 of the report, let me go to page 15 of the report. It says that on 9.8, it says the stages of evaluation. It says the pre-qualification, and it says the second stage is administrative compliance, and the third stage is mandatory requirement. Fourth stage is a functionality criteria, and the last stage is a preference point system. On the pre-qualification, we're looking for the exempted micro enterprise or qualifying small enterprise, and if ever the bidder doesn't fall under any of those two, then the bidder will be disqualified for further evaluation. And the minimum threshold also, it was 70 points. And if you go to page 18 of the report, as I've indicated, I said we received 5 responses from the public, and those are the 5 service providers, their names together with their bidder number. And thereafter we did the pre-qualification. On the pre-qualification, as I've already indicated, we're looking for it's either an EME or a QSE, and on none of them they were disqualified on the pre-compliance because all of them they did fall under that stage 1. And on stage 2, then we went into on the administrative compliance. On the administrative compliance, we are checking as to whether the bidder is registered on the CST or whether is there any restricted supply or any employee of state. And upon us checking on that, we found that none of these 5 service provider they got the restricted supplier or employee of state, and all of them they are registered on the CST, meaning that none of them they were disqualified on that. And then we move to stage 1, which is the pre-compliance or which is the administrative compliance. As I've indicated, we are checking MBD4, MBD8, and MBD9. On that MBD4 and MBD8 and MBD9, and all of them, none of them they were disqualified. And after that, they all qualified to go to stage 2, which is the mandatory requirement. Upon us doing the mandatory requirement on all those 5 service providers that responded to this bid, we found that there were only 2 bidders that didn't meet they didn't comply with all the minimum mandatory requirement of this bid, and it was bidder number 1 and bidder number 5. And as a result, these two bidders they will be disqualified. They were disqualified on mandatory, and thereafter we are left only with 3 bidders that went to the next stage, and of which the next stage, as I've indicated, it was we did the functionality criteria, which we were looking for a minimum threshold of 70. Then we did the bidder number 2, 3, and 4, and upon us doing that, all the 3 bidders they did score the above the threshold of 70 points, and as a result they qualified to go to the last stage, which is the prize and the BEE. And members, as you can see on that, upon us doing that, then we communicated with the department on as you can see on page 24 of 29, the department they sent us the addendum saying that there was an addendum that was issued because just correcting the hectares on the initial hectares that it was there on the pricing schedule. And we found that upon checking all these 3 bidders, we found that there was only 1 bidder, which is bidder number 3. Bidder number 3, he didn't price according to the amended addendum on the on the quantity of the hectare. Then as a result, it was difficult for us to he used the original hectare that was on the pricing schedule, but he didn't consider the addendum that was sent, and as a result, it was difficult for us to compare apple with apple, and therefore this bidder was disqualified based on that because he failed to amend the quantity as according to the addendum that was sent, and therefore that bidder was disqualified, and therefore we're left only with two bidders, which is bidder number 2 and bidder number 4. And with bidder 2 and 4, then we did the last stage, which is the preference point system, and this it was an 80-20 then tender. Then after that, upon us doing that, we found that bidder number 2, he was the highest on he was the highest on points and lowest on price, and therefore, as you can see on our recommendation, we recommended bidder number 2, and those are the prices as according to their the pricing schedule that they offer us on their tender document. Thank you.
Thank you, Rahaba. Members, your comments, please, on this item. Asminki.
Chair, can I just be given just 5 minutes? I'm trying to finalize I'm trying to read through the last part of the report. I'll just come back to you, Chair.
Thanks, Marusha.
Thanks, Chair. I just wanted to understand 4.6.2, which talks to this description of the approach and methodology, and them wanting on 4.6.2.5, something about a 10-page document. How does that fit into the, because it falls under the tender application requirements. How does that fit into the way that the tender was evaluated? Thanks, Chair. I'm fine with the rest of the issues so far.
Member Mpefu.
Chair, I just need Chair, can you hear me?
We can hear you, Rebecca.
Thanks, Verusha. Chair, I just need confirmation on the disqualification of the bidder that did not score as well or that did not use the amended document. As to, I just need the BEC to confirm the process. They were happy with the process used to issue that addendum, and they are comfortable to say the particular bidder or all the bidders did receive the addendum. Thank you, Chair.
Rahaba.
Thank you, thank you, Chair, again. And I just want to ask Member Mpefu on the issue of the addendum. Yes, on the issue of the addendum, because that's what we raised. Then I phoned, I think, the department guy, I think it was James Naledi, just to confirm as to us as to whether all these the 3 bidders they did receive the addendum. Yes, indeed, yes, the disqualified one, he did receive the addendum. Thank you. And then on the issue of that was raised by Member Verusha on the, was it 4.6.2 on the approach and methodology. I think that one, the department can just answer on that. But remember, as our role as a BEC, we're just evaluating, we only evaluated on what the mandatory requirements said. But on the mandatory requirement, it didn't say that we should do the approach and the methodology. I think that the department will just advise better on that. Thank you.
Department. What happened to the department now?
Okay, sure. Should be James Naledi and the other one.
Oh, they are not here.
And they said it's urgent, so I don't know.
No, it's no issue. I mean, we can refer it back so that the department can then clarify. Because obviously that particular requirement would have had some impact on functionality, unless if there was no intention for it to affect functionality and not really for information. So I think we just need to clarify so that we make sure we haven't missed anything in evaluating and adjudicating on this particular matter.
Okay.
Members, can we refer it back to the BEC to clarify with the department and then bring it back in our next meeting?
Chair,
House Minky?
one thing that I also wanted to check is in relation to the tax compliance. The document refers to 2021. Unless if I'm all over the show today, is it still compliant as in today, or maybe it was an error from the report itself when it was crafted?
Justice will confirm the tax compliance. So when it comes back, it will then deal with those two particular issues.
Chairperson,
So
can you please assist with what the BEC needs to clarify again, or repeat the resolution?
it's referred back. The PEC is going to clarify with the department the relevance of item 6.4.6.2. Oh, I was going to say 6.4.2.
The methodology part.
4.6.2. On the methodology and what relevance it has to the evaluation, if it has been taken into account, and then for SCM to confirm tax matters that are in order. Are you fine, Slylo?
Thank you, Chairperson. I'm fine.
Thank you. Can we move on to our next item?
Chairperson, item 6.1. Oh, apologies, Chairperson. I'm informed that water is ready and is loaded on Q Drive. We can go back to item 2.8. Okay, Chairperson. Item 6.1 reads, it's from Health Department. It's CME 01-2021-2022, appointment of a service provider to supply and deliver food handlers training manual for municipal health services. Chairperson, the item is tabled. Thank you.
Thank you. Who's taking us through?
Okay, thank you very much, Chairperson and members of the BAC. Good day. My name is Sello Jerry Musamai, and I will start by declaring that I do not have any interest in the matter that is to be discussed, and promise to abide by all the stipulations of this sitting. Chairperson, the department that is involved is the health department, and also the division municipal is health services, and then it is in connection with the CME 01-2021-22 as already mentioned, and delivery period is once off. Chairperson, I would like to indicate before I go through the report that it is important to note that this item was previously approved, and as it was to be implemented, the appointed service provider indicated that they have underquoted the relevant service provider was Retrolec, and then it was at an amount of 73,299. We are saying that the absence of these books, the relevant books for training, will affect service delivery, and COT is a trendsetter on this type of tariff that is in line with the regulations. In terms of the document itself, the codes were the request for codes was done on the 30th of March 2022, and then the codes closed on the 4th of April 2022, and the number of bidders invited were 23, and then the quotations received were 7. The evaluation date was done on the 28th April, represented by Advocate Sydney Makulubani. In terms of the purpose of the memo is also to request the approval to use the CME 01 2021-22 to supply and deliver the food handlers training manual for the municipal health services. I'll go to the received bidders to say that there were 7, and also to say that in terms of the schedule of administration, it was done, and 3 of them were completed. Just to indicate that after the evaluation, it was found that there was a disqualification of 2 of the bidders, and then 5 remained. So in terms of the recommendation, the bidder number 2, which is Tshwane Graphic Center, was scored the highest, and so the amount that was indicated there was at a total of 217 200, and then the total there is 249,780. So what is recommended, Chairperson, is the Tshwane Graphic Center. We did indicate or send in the amount that is available in the section, and the only request from the department, seeing that previously we were working at 73,000 as indicated, and then this amount is a little bit above what we have. We are requesting that the department or the recommendation from the departmental meeting yesterday was that we work within the available budget, the scope, so that we say the scope of work should be limited to the available amount, which is 238,308. So that is the only request that we have. Besides that, we are saying that we desperately need these books so that we can continue with service delivery. As I speak now, we are busy with training, and we are using the last books that we have. Chairperson, I would like to thank you, and await the questions where possible.
Thank you. So just confirm, you said there was a previous appointment and the service provider underquoted. What have you done about that?
Normally what we do is that we would flag those service providers and make sure that they are dealt with accordingly in line with the SCM stipulations, so that they are red flagged. And as and when they apply, then we know that these ones are the ones that are giving us problems.
So is there a report to that effect, so that we can blacklist?
Chairperson, yes, we dealt with it in the department. I will just make sure that if that was ultimately submitted to the department, but we normally blacklist from 12, the ones that are giving us problems.
Make sure it's submitted to SCM so they can advise on the process to follow.
Thank you, Chairperson.
This was a fresh quotation request that you are presenting today.
Yes, it was a fresh one, Chairperson.
Thank you. Members, your questions and comments, Verika?
Thanks, Thanks, Chair. There are administrative checking requirements. One of them relates to the MBD forms that are submitted, and it looks like there are 4 bidders that have not complied with MBD, but the way the report is drafted, it seems to be evaluating, in some instances, 5 bidders, disqualifying 2, and in other instances, not taking into account the bidders that haven't submitted their MBD forms. If we can just get some guidance on that. And also in terms of the bidders, while it might not be directly relevant, some of the bidders do not seem to be VAT registered VAT vendors. So you'll see that their amounts remain stagnant in terms of pricing. When we are awarding, are we looking at the amounts excluding VAT as the award price, or the amounts inclusive of VAT? Thanks, Chair. That's my comments.
Thanks, Osminki.
Chair, no comments from my side.
Member Mpefu.
Chair, am I correct if I say we are on CME1, the appointment of a service provider to supply delivery food handler training manuals network? Okay. Now, Chair, I don't have any further comments. They can just attend to Verusha's questions. Thank you.
Thanks. Department. Department, you can respond.
Chair, I am humbly going to request maybe SCM maybe to assist me in terms of the first question. In terms of it was qualification and disqualification. I'm not clear with regard to that process. If maybe Rahaba can assist us there.
Justice.
Chair, the disqualifications here relates to MBD1, and in the main here, MBD1 is supposed to be completed by bidders that submit bids, and in this case, they were not completed and returned back to us by Sarame. The second one, Haruna, has to do with MBD 7.2, and this too was also not submitted, hence the bidders were disqualified. And it is a requirement that MBDs be completed and returned.
Chair, if I may come in, I'm saying that there's a table that says that 4 bidders haven't completed it. So under point 7, you'll see that it's bidder 1, bidder 4, bidder 5, and bidder 7 that are reflecting as incomplete documents. But under point 9, disqualification, only 2 bidders are disqualified.
There's a misalignment there. Some of them fell off.
Chair, I also, like I said, I would like the SM and the department to assist us. MBD1, where we are saying we're disqualifying bidder number 1. Is it bidder number 1? Let me go back, Chair. MBD1 on page 4, we are saying MBD1 is incomplete on bidder number 1. And Chair, we are disqualifying that bidder. And if we're to look at MBD1 forms, there is no way that says they must be disqualified. Not unless our interpretation is different, Chair. MBD 3.1, Chair, which is bidder number 4 and 5. So we'd expect it not to be evaluated because they're saying they did not complete MBD 3.1. We're saying, Justice, that's not a disqualification because MBD 3 will talk to your adjustment basis. So I was saying if you do not include it, I will assume an adjustment base for you because you are saying they did not complete. Chair, 7.2. It's really this report is confusing, Chair. I think they must just go back and fix the report before it comes back to this platform, Chair. Thank you.
Ntate Ratupe Tsane.
Chair, I would agree because I'm also trying to find attachments here. They're not here. I would rather withdraw it, correct it, and bring it back. But the issues around MBD1, Chair, if you check MBD1 page 2, right at the bottom, and I don't have the attachment here, it does indicate that if MBD1 is not completed, it may actually invalidate the tender. And